ever walked into a room and it just felt kind of like stuck? Like the energy's off, but you can't put your finger on why?
Yeah.
It might be the furniture. That's what we're diving into today.
Okay.
Feng Shui furniture arrangement.
It's amazing how much our surroundings affect us.
Right.
Yeah, we're often not even aware of the subtle ways.
Right.
Our environment shapes our mood and energy.
Exactly. And I'll admit, when I hear Feng Shui, I kind of think, oh, that's too complicated for me.
Yeah.
But I've got some sources here
Okay.
that promise some practical tips,
All right.
even for beginners.
That's the beauty of it.
Right.
Feng Shui isn't about, rigid rules.
Yeah.
It's really more about understanding how energy flows in a space,
Okay.
or qi, and making adjustments to create balance and harmony.
So no need to become like a master overnight, right?
Exactly. Even small changes can make a difference.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
Yeah.
fine-tuning an instrument. A slight adjustment
Yeah.
here and there can completely change the sound.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
All right.
Where do we even begin?
Well, our sources are unanimous.
Okay.
Decluttering is the foundation. Think of it like this. Qi is like a river.
Okay.
Clutter is like a dam blocking its flow.
Ah. Okay, so if you've got piles of stuff everywhere, it's like creating energetic traffic jams all over your house.
Yes.
No wonder it feels stagnant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Removing clutter isn't just about aesthetics.
Okay.
It literally clears the way for energy to flow more freely. And that can have a huge impact on how you feel in the space.
I can totally see that.
Right.
Sometimes I don't even realize how much that pile of laundry is bugging me until it's gone.
It's like a weight lifted.
Yeah.
And that sense of lightness and clarity.
Right.
That's what we're aiming for with Feng Shui.
Okay, so clutter cleared.
Yes.
What's next on our Feng Shui checklist?
Our sources emphasize a key principle called the command position.
Okay.
This applies to your desk and sofa.
Yeah.
Basically the places where you spend a lot of time.
Command position. Now, I'm picturing myself standing on my desk like a superhero, but I'm guessing that's not quite it.
Not quite, no.
Yeah.
The idea is that you want to be able to see the door from these key positions
Okay.
without being directly in line with it.
Interesting. So not hidden away in a corner, but not right in the line of fire either.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
It's about having a sense of awareness and control over your space.
Okay.
It's actually linked to our natural instincts.
Okay.
Being able to see who's coming in makes us feel safer.
That makes total sense.
Right.
And I've heard about the coffin position.
Uh-huh.
For beds where your feet point towards the door.
Yeah.
It always sounded kind of ominous.
Well, the symbolism may be rooted in superstition. The idea of your feet pointing toward the exit as you sleep, might make you feel subconsciously uneasy.
Definitely not the most restful vibe.
Right.
It's a command position. Got it.
Good.
What else should we keep in mind when arranging furniture?
Creating clear pathways is crucial.
Right.
You want to be able to move through your space without bumping into things or squeezing through tight spots.
Yeah. Who hasn't tripped over a stray ottoman in the middle of the night?
Exactly.
Not a peaceful experience.
Yeah, but it's not just about avoiding physical obstacles.
Okay.
In Feng Shui, clear pathways allow qi to circulate freely, kind of like a smooth flowing river.
Okay.
This promotes a sense of ease and harmony, both physically and mentally.
So it's like those chaotic mornings where you can't find anything and you're already running late. That kind of frantic energy is the opposite of what we're going for.
Precisely.
Right.
When your space is cluttered
Yeah.
and difficult to navigate,
Right.
it creates a sense of chaos and stress, which can affect your overall well-being.
Okay. I'm getting the picture.
Good.
Now, what about balance and symmetry?
Okay.
Does everything need to be perfectly matched?
No.
Because that sounds a little intimidating.
Yeah.
For someone like me, who isn't exactly an interior design whiz.
Not at all. It's more about visual harmony.
Okay.
For example, if you have a large sofa on one side of the room, you can balance it out with a couple of smaller chairs and a table on the other side.
Gotcha.
It's about creating a sense of equilibrium, not perfect symmetry.
So it's about how the whole room feels.
Yes.
Not just matching things up.
Right. It's like composing a piece of music.
Right.
You want a variety of sounds
and
instruments working together to create a harmonious whole.
That's a great analogy.
Thank you.
Okay, now I have to ask about this one.
Okay.
Because it sounds a little intense.
Right.
Sharp corners.
Okay.
My source here talks about poison arrows. Is that as dramatic as it sounds?
It's a bit of dramatic terminology, yes.
Okay.
The idea is the sharp angles pointing directly at you can subtly drain your energy.
So if I've got a pointy table leg aimed right at my favorite spot on the sofa,
Yeah.
that might not be ideal?
It might be worth considering repositioning it.
Okay.
However, it's not about being afraid of every sharp corner.
Okay.
It's about being mindful of how they're positioned and using simple solutions
Okay.
like plants or fabrics
Right.
to soften those angles.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
Good.
I was worried I'd have to get rid of all my furniture with sharp edges.
Feng Shui is about finding balance and making adjustments,
Right.
not creating rigid rules
Okay.
or living in fear of pointy furniture.
Right, next up in our source material,
Okay.
anchoring furniture.
Yes.
What's that all about?
It's about creating a sense of stability,
Okay.
both physically and psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
Placing larger pieces against solid walls makes them feel grounded and secure.
So it's like they have a solid foundation instead of just floating out in the middle of the room?
Exactly.
I can see how that would feel more settled and calming.
Right. And that feeling of being ungrounded, even if it's subtle, can create a sense of unease or anxiety.
That makes sense. I actually just moved my desk away from the wall, and I've been feeling a little, I don't know, jittery lately. Maybe I should move it back.
You could try it and see how it feels.
Yeah.
Sometimes even small adjustments can make a surprising difference.
Okay, this is fascinating stuff.
Good.
Before we move on to specific rooms and the 5 elements, can I just say how much I'm already learning?
Great.
And I bet our listener is feeling inspired too.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's all about empowering you to create a space that truly feels like home.
Absolutely.
A space that supports you and enhances your well-being.
And speaking of enhancing well-being,
Yes.
let's talk about the 5 elements next.
Okay.
I know this is a whole deep dive on its own, but I'm excited to get a taste of how they play into furniture arrangement.
Yeah.
5 elements time.
Oh.
I'm ready to hear how wood, fire, earth, metal, and water play into my living room.
It's like adding spices to a dish.
Okay.
A dash of fire here, a sprinkle of earth there, and suddenly the whole thing comes alive.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah.
So how do we actually incorporate these elements into our furniture arrangement?
Think of it in terms of colors,
Okay.
shapes, and materials.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, wood represents growth and creativity.
Okay.
You can bring that in through plants,
Okay.
wooden furniture, or even artwork depicting nature scenes.
So my obsession with houseplants is actually good Feng Shui.
There you go.
Score. What about fire?
Fire is all about passion and inspiration.
Okay.
Think warm colors,
Okay.
like reds and oranges, triangular shapes, and even things like candles or a fireplace.
Interesting. So it's not just literal fire, but anything that evokes that feeling of warmth and energy.
Exactly. Now, if you're looking for stability and grounding, that's where the earth element comes in.
Okay.
Think earthy tones like browns and yellows,
Yeah.
square shapes,
Uh-huh.
and natural materials like stone or ceramics.
Okay. I'm starting to get a sense of how this works. What about metal?
Metal is associated with clarity and focus.
Okay.
Metallic accents, circular shapes,
Uh-huh.
and cool colors like white and gray can bring that metal energy in.
And finally, water, right?
Yes,
Doesn't that represent flow and wisdom?
it does indeed.
Okay.
Think reflective surfaces like mirrors and glass,
Okay.
wavy shapes, and the colors blue and black.
Okay, wow. Just thinking about all these elements and their associations, I can already see how they could influence the feel of a room.
And to get a sense of your room's current element balance,
Right.
you can look at the colors, shapes, and materials already present. For example, an abundance of metal and sharp angles might suggest an overemphasis on the metal element.
So if my living room feels a bit too sharp or sterile,
Yeah,
maybe I need to bring in some softer, earthier elements to balance things out.
that's a great observation.
Okay.
It's all about finding that harmony.
Right.
Too much of any one element can create an imbalance.
Right.
I'm ready to put this knowledge into practice.
Right.
Let's talk about specific rooms,
Okay.
starting with the bedroom.
Okay.
It's our sanctuary, the place
Yeah.
where we rest and recharge.
Yes.
What are our Feng Shui priorities there?
Rest and rejuvenation are paramount,
Right.
and our sources highlight bed placement as absolutely key.
Right. No feet pointing toward the door.
Right.
But what about other things to keep in mind?
Yeah.
What about the headboard?
Okay.
Does it matter?
A solid headboard is recommended.
Okay.
It provides a sense of support and stability
Right.
while you sleep.
Makes sense, like a symbolic wall behind you.
Yeah. What about mirrors?
Okay.
I've always heard they're a no-no in the bedroom.
You've heard correctly. Mirrors facing the bed are believed to disrupt sleep.
Really?
They can amplify energy and create a sense of restlessness.
Oh, interesting. I'm definitely guilty of having a mirror in my bedroom. Maybe that explains why I sometimes have trouble sleeping.
It's worth experimenting.
Yeah?
See how it feels to remove the mirror or cover it up at night.
Okay.
And while we're talking about things that can disrupt sleep, our sources also advise keeping the space under your bed clear.
Okay.
Clutter under there can block energy flow while you're sleeping.
I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
But it makes sense.
All right.
Out of sight, out of mind doesn't really apply to energy, does it?
Not quite.
Okay. Moving on to the living room.
All right.
This is where we gather, connect, and relax.
Yes.
What are our Feng Shui goals for this space? I'd say creating a welcoming and harmonious atmosphere where people can relax and connect, kind of like a visual representation of good vibes.
Exactly. And our sources emphasize the importance of creating a clear conversation area.
Okay.
Arrange your seating in a way that encourages interaction and connection.
So no sofas pushed up against opposite walls.
Right.
We want to create a sense of flow and togetherness.
That's right. The sofa often acts as the anchor piece in a living room. And of course, it should be in that command position.
And what about a coffee table?
Okay.
I always feel like a coffee table kind of grounds the seating area.
You're absolutely right. A sturdy coffee table can help anchor the energy of the space.
Right.
And create a sense of stability.
Okay. I'm loving these practical tips.
Good.
What about the home office?
Okay.
So many people working from home these days.
Right.
Got to make sure that energy is optimized for focus and productivity.
Absolutely. The command position for your desk is crucial here.
Okay.
It allows you to feel in control, focused, and ready to tackle your to-do list.
And imagine having a solid wall behind you rather than a window would be helpful for focus, too. Almost like a visual representation of support.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's about having that sense of grounding and security, which can enhance focus and productivity. And of course, natural light is always a bonus.
Always got.
Okay, next up, the dining room.
Right.
This is where we share meals,
Yes.
connect with loved ones, and create memories.
Right.
How do we create a Feng Shui-friendly dining experience?
Our sources suggest that round or oval tables are particularly good for promoting conversation and energy flow.
I like that no sharp corners creating those energy blocks we talked about earlier.
Exactly, and make sure there are no obstructions around the table.
Right.
So people can easily move in and out of their seats.
That's a good point. Nothing worse than feeling trapped at the dinner table.
Right. It's all about creating a sense of ease and flow, both physically and energetically.
Okay, last but certainly not least, the kitchen.
Okay.
The heart of the home, the source of nourishment.
Yes.
What do we need to know about Feng Shui in the kitchen? Well, stove placement is important in Feng Shui.
Okay.
Ideally, you want to avoid having it directly opposite the sink or the kitchen door.
I've never thought about that before.
Yeah.
Why is that exactly?
The idea is that fire and water clashing can represent conflict and disharmony.
Gotcha.
And the kitchen should be a space of nourishment and positive energy.
So we want to create a sense of balance and harmony in the kitchen, not energetic warfare between the stove and the sink.
Precisely. And while we're talking about creating harmony in the kitchen, this one's probably a no-brainer.
Okay.
Clear those countertops.
Yeah, that's good advice for life in general.
Right.
But I can definitely see how clutter in the kitchen could create a sense of chaos and stress.
It absolutely can.
Right.
Counters equal, clear energy flow, and a more peaceful cooking experience.
All right. We've covered a lot of ground here.
Yes, we have.
From decluttering to the command position to the 5 elements and room-specific tips. I feel like I've learned so much.
It's quite a bit of information to take in.
Right.
That's for sure. But remember, it's not about memorizing every single rule or becoming a Feng Shui expert overnight.
Right. It's about taking what resonates with you.
Exactly.
Experimenting with these tips and seeing how even small adjustments can impact how you feel in your space.
Exactly. It's a journey, not a destination.
Right.
And speaking of the journey,
Yes.
we've got some general tips and common mistakes to cover
Okay.
on our final segment,
All right.
which will help bring it all together.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of Feng Shui ground.
We have.
But I know our listener might be thinking,
Yeah.
where do I even begin?
Right.
Don't worry.
Yeah.
We've got some final tips
Okay.
and common mistakes to help bring it all together.
Remember, Feng Shui is a practice,
Right.
not a perfection contest.
Right.
Don't get overwhelmed trying to do everything at once.
Our sources really stress trusting your intuition. If something doesn't feel right in your space, change it.
Yeah, you're the expert of your own home.
Exactly.
And you don't need to do a complete overhaul overnight.
Right.
Start small.
Okay.
Maybe just focus on your bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Or even rearranging a single piece of furniture.
Right.
See how it feels and go from there.
I love that.
Yes.
Small changes, big impact.
Exactly.
Speaking of feeling,
Yes.
our sources say that's the ultimate test of good Feng Shui.
Uh-huh.
How do you feel in your space
Right.
after making some adjustments?
It's not just about aesthetics,
Yeah.
right?
Mm.
It's about how your environment impacts your energy and well-being.
Exactly.
So pay attention to those subtle shifts.
Okay.
Do you feel lighter,
Mm-hmm.
calmer, more energized?
Right.
That's your intuition telling you what works.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we wrap up,
All right.
let's talk about common Feng Shui mistakes
Right.
people make with their furniture.
Right.
What are some things to watch out for?
Blocking doors and windows is a big one. Okay. We've talked about how important chi flow is.
Right.
And doors and windows are like the entry and exit points
Yeah.
for energy.
So don't shove that armchair right in front of the window,
Exactly.
no matter how much you love the view.
Even if you have the best view in the world.
Exactly.
And we touched on this before, but it's worth repeating.
Okay.
Avoid floating furniture.
Right.
Especially big pieces,
Okay.
like sofas or beds.
Right.
They need a solid wall behind them
Mm-hmm.
to feel grounded
Right.
and create a sense of stability in the room.
And don't forget about clear pathways.
Yes.
Make sure you can easily move through your space
Uh-huh.
without bumping into things or
Right.
squeezing through narrow spots.
It should feel like a graceful dance.
Yes.
Not an obstacle course.
That ease of movement keeps the energy flowing smoothly.
Yes, it does.
And lastly,
Okay.
be mindful of overcrowding.
Yes.
Too much furniture can make a large room feel cluttered and stagnant.
It's like that saying,
Yeah.
less is more.
Right.
Sometimes giving things a little breathing room
Mm-hmm.
can make a huge difference.
This has been such an insightful deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I'm looking at my furniture in a whole new way.
I'm so glad.
And remember, Feng Shui is ultimately about creating a space that supports you
Yes.
on every level, physically, mentally, and emotionally.
It's about creating a home that truly reflects
Yes.
and nourishes who you are.
I have a feeling our listener is already rearranging their furniture in their mind.
I hope so.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise
You're welcome.
and guiding us through this fascinating exploration of Feng Shui.
It's been a pleasure. And to our listener,
Yes.
I encourage you to experiment.
Mm-hmm.
Trust your
Yeah.
instincts.
Right.
And enjoy the process of creating a space that truly feels like home.
Until next time, may your chi flow freely.